So Piers Morgan gets annihilated again, the third guest that he has on, and it just goes to show you that really going on his TV show is nothing but ratings and coverage and virality, which is all that he really cares about.
I only asked you because you're the guy that called me a propagandist and called me a baboon in a suit. I was curious as to why. You don't want to say who I'm doing the propaganda for. We'll move on. I agree with you. There's a bigger picture here. Let's move on. Let's take a short break. Hasan, let's take a short break. I want to come back. I want to talk.
Because he does the most perfect job of speaking more than the person he interviews and running into circles.
Able to defend themselves. As any
Piers,
free democratic country.
That is the Israeli State Department line.
Hasan,
that is the IDF's line. That is the line that everyone
Hasan, let me ask you this.
Guys, that's Murad Morali. Hopefully you guys are doing well today. Back again with another video. If you have not subscribed, click that button, guys, for daily and consistent content. Subscribe to the channel. Let's get straight into this video. Another Piers Morgan interview, another interview where he gets absolutely wrecked. Now, if you've watched these full interviews, one thing I'll say is that, you know, from Mohammed Hijab to Bassem Youssef to Hasan Piker, three pro-Palestinian people, he only gives them 25 minutes to have this entire discussion. Whereas when it comes to pro-Israel or with Ben Shapiro, why was that interview over 40 minutes? Things like this I already initially notice, and I feel like when he's having these conversations with these pro-Palestinian people, I'm glad he's giving them platforms, but to me, that isn't viable enough or justifies his rhetoric and the way he handles interviews and the way he speaks over them. Why is Piers Morgan speaking for the majority of the time? Not only that, but he's perfectly crafted bringing on a guest onto his theater show, that's what I like to call it, and then he speaks more than they do.
And more importantly, I guess, the fact that this hospital had been bombed by Israel. This hospital had been bombed by Israel on Saturday. 22 hospitals have, as a matter of fact, been bombed by Israel since this last saga in the occupation.
The way he interjects them, he doesn't allow them to land their points, and when they try to, he keeps interjecting even more, and once he interjects, he then runs in a circle with that point, so it doesn't really go anywhere. So he didn't like the fact that he was called a propagandist, and I think that, I'm glad that Hasan Piker, a Twitch streamer who's got a lot of followers, was like, you know what, we all are propagandists to some kind of extent anyways as people. So the fact that he wasn't able to understand and was kept saying, oh, there's enough evidence that it wasn't Israel behind this huge significant hospital bombing that killed nearly 1,000 people and that it was Hamas, when, claiming circumstantial evidence as fact and saying that this XYZ, well then Hasan Piker was like, well, there is a lot of evidence to say that they did do it. They backed out after admitting it was them. Channel 4 came out and exposed them with proper evidence, decluttering these perfectly crafted, edited audios, so much evidence to go against, yet Piers wasn't acknowledging that.
Now, collective punishment in the form of depriving 2.2 million people of electricity, collective punishment in the form of depriving them of water, of food, collective punishment of in the form of 51 people dying in the West Bank, where, there is no Hamas in the West Bank, and yet 51 people have died.
In regards, he was like, no, well, there's circumstantial evidence XYZ, but then wasn't looking at the other circumstantial evidence, perfectly just ignoring it. He then didn't understand or fathom the idea that Israel defending himself doesn't make any sense. How can an oppressor defend themselves against what? They're already the oppressor. If you are continuously occupying and, colonial terrorism, which is basically what it is, which is what international law have said it is for the last 70 years, if you lock somebody in, their own bathroom and you take their house, they're not going to just sit there. They're going to try and get out and do something and defend themselves to some kind of capacity. Why is the oppressor entitled to defend themselves, but not the ones being oppressed? Nearly 5,000 Palestinians have been killed. There was a significant amount of shelling going on last night as well near the Al-Quds hospital, where 10,000 Palestinians are being refugees. How are Israel defending themselves? By killing innocent civilians.
Going in that direction, the ethnic cleansing direction, the ethnic displacement direction, or the only way out of this for a real solution is to move towards peace, to genuinely end the blockade, to end the apartheid.
Only that, but in the West Bank, nearly 70 Palestinians have died. There's no Hamas over there. So it's not really making any sense. So when Hasan Piker is trying to make this point, clearly Piers is interjecting and he's like, well, you invited me on the show, allow me to speak. This is what he does. He creates it into a pantomime to get that virality. He wants to have the beef back and forth.
Side and does not simply treat them as their colonial subjects.
Hasan,
and it's the only way to create permanent security and prosperity in the region.
If it was as simple as that, I'm sure that would have happened already.
You know, getting angry at each other, which loses the point, and therefore it just goes viral. All of this benefits Piers Morgan. That's why he's having these pro-Palestinian people on. It's easier to have people on that oppose your view, creates conversation, and then of course that just goes viral.
Is a violence. It is a violence required for its maintenance.
Okay, listen.
And that violence is frustrating people.
I hear you.
That violence is radicalizing people.
But here's
Hold on. As far as Israel, as far as
So I think this is what Piers Morgan tries to do. And yet again, Hasan Piker is playing with him like he's playing with a toy, and Piers Morgan is left not being able to answer the questions, is stuttering, is confused, and again, a fool. Everybody is supporting Hasan Piker in this conversation, whatever stance they are, because they can clearly see that he's very much making sense when it comes to this conversation. An oppressor cannot defend themselves. It doesn't make any sense. And a lot of people are understanding now and getting open to the idea that Piers Morgan likes to only interject to run into circles and then deads the conversation because he doesn't know how to have a conversation or proper debate. I feel like he is doing this stuff on purpose just for the views. That's all this man cares about, is just for the views. The conversation with Bassem Youssef has 15 million views on YouTube. That's a significant amount of money that he's made off that one video. He does not care about the conversation. He does not care about the cause of what is going on with Palestinians or the genocide in any capacity. He's playing different roles just to generate views. And it's a shame. I'm glad that there are, coverage for pro-Palestinians being platformed on his channel that is going viral. But at the same time, he just does not care about the conversation at hand. He just brings people on to interject them, run the points into circles and dead corners, and then shuts them down and calls it a day. That's exactly what this man does continuously, and for the third time in a row, he's being absolutely annihilated. Let me know your thoughts are when it comes to this video. Subscribe to the channel, guys. Click that button for daily and consistent content. I would appreciate it. Subscribe, and I'll catch you guys soon for another video.